What's going on, guys? It's Greg from East Coast Eyes, and today we are taking a look at the STX Surgeon 700 in our newest line of reviews. So this is a head that a lot of people were excited for. It is $89, which I really like that price from STX. Some companies have found the need to jack the price up to $100 or even higher, and it's nice to see it coming at $90. I think that's a fair price for an elite offensive head. As far as specs, there used to be a high school and a college only spec, and so now what you're going to see is just one spec, and I'll talk about that when we get into face shape. But you're going to lose the high school and lose the college and just have the one Surgeon 700. As far as weight on this head, it is 5.55 ounces by our scale, and that kind of surprised me when I first took the head out of the box and put it on the scale, because that's really, really heavy. That is just about as heavy as a Maverick tank or a lot of other defensive heads. And so that's surprising because they're marketing it as an elite offensive head, and most offensive players don't like to play with a head that's as heavy as most defensive heads. So that's a little bit off-putting for me. So if you're a guy that likes a really, really light head, you might not love the Surgeon 700. It doesn't feel really heavy, but compared to other offensive heads, it is a full half ounce heavier. But luckily for them, that heaviness does come with really good stiffness. So this is probably the stiffest offensive head that we felt. So it is heavier, but it's also really stiff. So if you like a stiff head, you're going to like this head. And then getting into the face shape, as we talked about, it's got this really narrow pinch, so it looks more similar to the STX Surgeon 10, which was the NCAA only legal spec. And so at the top, point to point at the narrowest spot, or at the widest spot, is about 6 1/8 inches. And so a lot of people don't know yet, so this might help you out. For 2018, all the specs are going to 6-inch minimum at the top, whereas in college, the minimum was 6 inches, but for X-Spec, which meant you can play with it at high school, youth, and college, it had to be 6.5. So lowering that, now every head only has to be 6 inches at the top. So this head, while it is narrower, will be legal for every level of play starting for the season in 2018. So it's got that face shape you're used to seeing from the Surgeon, which is tight to the throat, high pendulum flare, and then more narrow up at the top, which is great for offensive players, especially attackmen. You're more worried about ball control. And one thing I really like that they did with the silhouette here for the Surgeon 700 is improve the scoop. They always wanted to have this ultra pointed scoop because that's a little bit better for accuracy, but it made it really tough for ground balls. And so they rounded this front profile out, and I think still works well where it's nice and pointed, but also is much easier for ground balls from different angles, which is still important for offensive players. And then to help out a little bit more, they added speed scoop. On the previous model, there was all kinds of weird things going with the scoop back here, so they just took a basic speed scoop idea, rounded out this top face so that when you're getting ground balls kind of from whatever angle, it can scoop them up a little bit easier. And then kind of going through it, they have the classic STX styling, which I think is best in class. Their heads look almost better than everyone else's. Really cool ribs in here through the inside, fast, aggressive cutaways. Doesn't help a ton with performance, but it does make it look really nice, which is important when you're buying a head. Really cool deep cuts in the scoop here, coring it out, losing a little weight, making it look nice. Some detail down here, chrome STX in the ball stop. They moved the screws to the front, which I thought was an interesting move. It definitely looks odd. I think this is the first head that's ever had screw holes in the front, but I think it makes a lot of sense when you think about how a head usually bends when you're shooting. It wants to bend this way, and by having the screws in the front, 2 of them, it will anchor that a little bit better and make sure that the plastic isn't bending under that stress. And then to help that out a little more, they've got their throat plug borrowed over from the face-off head, the dual. Sort of the same idea here. They made the throat really short in the back, and that made them move the screw holes to the front. So that's the main reason they moved it to the front, is there wasn't room in the back. And so by doing that, when you're cradling one-handed, you have your pointer finger right up there, and you can scoot it up higher to the head without running on top of the head. It actually is really comfortable when you're cradling one-handed. I really like that move. So it's a little inconvenient, but it does help a lot with adding control, shortening the throat. So if you can find a shaft that doesn't have the plug, this will work pretty well. And then getting into the stringing, I've got one that we strung up here. They have a couple string innovations they're really excited about. The first up is channel lock, which is this hole up at the top of the scoop. You can see a little better here with the sticker. And they've got a cutout. So what this does is it pulls that center diamond up kind of into the point of the stick, and that just creates a little bit better channel. It's going to pull this up a little bit and make it a little bit tighter. I found that it did help, and it really helps if you don't know how to string a triangle top string, because that's just going to act like it, pull it up really nice and tight, and get it above that scoop line. Other than that, it's strung up really well. The face shape lends itself to a really nice mid-low pocket. The bottom rail is gradual, so you can kind of string a placement wherever you want. The narrow face shape helps with a nice tight channel, mid-low, which is great for an attackman. The thing I didn't get into much was this suspension rail. I tried to use it, I just didn't love it for the pocket I was aiming for, which is mid-low. That's actually the opposite of what suspension rail does. The suspension rail would pull the pocket kind of and push it higher, make the slant more aggressive. So for mid-low, it made the most sense not to use it. You guys can try it. It's a fun thing for customization, but not really for me. Finally, their big innovation was Enduraform, which is the new ACP. ACP was supposed to keep the head stiffer when it got hot. I think it really made the heads brittle. Didn't work that well. So this seems to work better. It's obviously making the head heavier but stiffer, and it should maintain that through the heat. So overall, if you're an attackman that really likes a stiff head and really likes the tight, narrow face shape, I think that this would be a really great option for you. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure to like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, and have a great day.